Hey guys, I want to make another video to talk about the pending assault weapons ban that's been proposed by Dianne Feinstein. In my previous video where I addressed the issue of the tragedy at Sandy Hook, I said I wasn't going to take the channel in a political direction, and I'm still not. However, right now we currently face a very serious threat to gun ownership in the United States by the gun grabbers in Washington, D.C. being led by Dianne Feinstein. I've been given a voice by you guys that I think I should make use of, and I need to let you guys know what's going on, and then it will be up to you to spread it around to the other people on YouTube and other gun owners in America, the information that I want to share with you guys this afternoon. I'm going to continue to do these videos intermittently as new developments arise because I need to pass this information along, and I want to interject my commentary and stuff like that. So please bear with me. I'm not going to change the content of this channel. I'll still do firearms reviews, gear reviews, shooting videos, and things like that. But until we get past this flap with the pending legislation that we currently face, I feel obligated to use my voice to let you guys know what's going on. The proposed assault weapons ban that's being introduced by Dianne Feinstein at the beginning of the year is different than the 1994 ban that was actually passed and was in effect for 10 years from 1994 to 2004. She's taken the essence of that law and she's made it much, much worse. The original 1994 law dealt primarily with cosmetics. It banned certain features, appearances. It didn't change the functionality of the rifles that were being targeted by the ban. That's still the case. That's still very much true, because the assault weapon, as Dianne Feinstein defines it, and the gun grabbers in Washington, is not the true definition of an assault rifle. The rifles that we have that's currently the focus of this pending legislation are semi-automatic sporting rifles. They look like military rifles, however they do not function like military rifles. The biggest difference is the fact that the rifles that we're talking about are not machine guns. They don't fire as fast as they can if you hold the trigger back. They only fire once for every time the trigger is pulled. It's a standard semi-automatic rifle. The scope of the law that she has proposed, or will be proposing at the first of the year, is detailed on her website. It's not the complete law, however, she has given a 30,000-foot view of what the law will deal with and how it plans to ban certain types of firearms. Previously, it's only gone after these military look-alike rifles. This time around, they're coming for your handguns, hunting rifles, and shotguns, as well as the cosmetically similar semi-automatic sporting rifles that they call assault weapons, which is a misnomer again. First of all, it's going to ban 120 firearms by name. Under the 1994 law, manufacturers were able to skirt the spirit of the law by changing the firearms cosmetically. Things like the pistol grip, which really doesn't make a firearm any more deadly, was considered an evil feature. Bayonet lugs. We've never had a bayoneting that I can remember in modern history where somebody drove by and did a drive-by bayoneting, or somebody charged into a school and bayoneted a bunch of children. It's never happened. However, they wanted to make the bayonet lug an evil feature. Flash suppressors, things like that. Again, mostly cosmetic, that really don't make a firearm any more lethal. Those are the things that they targeted to begin with. This list of 120 firearms will specifically call out models like the AR-15, the AK, the M1 Garand, the M1A. It'll call them out and ban them by name, so cosmetic changes can't be applied to these rifles or handguns, as I'll tell you more about, to make them get around the law as they did. Before, we would have things like a thumb hole stock. It was still a pistol grip, but it had a hole in the stock where your thumb would go through, and it wasn't technically a pistol grip. The functionality of the rifle wasn't changed, but they being the manufacturers, changed them cosmetically, which allowed them to skirt the spirit of the law. Dianne Feinstein is being very careful this time around with her new law that there will be no sidestepping the law or changing the cosmetic appearance of the firearms. She's going to ban them outright by name. But she realizes that there will be new firearms that will come to market. You can make another AR-15 and call it something completely different. Call it the Predator rifle, and meaning hunting predators like animals. You could call it the Predator rifle, and it would skirt the law because it isn't technically an AR-15. So she has to define certain features as well, so she can ban future firearms. So they're going to ban 120 firearms by name, and then they're going to ban certain features. Previously, under the 1994 law, it only required two characteristics for a rifle to be considered an assault rifle. that's going to be reduced to one characteristic. And guess what those characteristics will be? It'll be things like a detachable magazine. Okay? Any rifle or handgun that has a detachable magazine that could accept a magazine of more than 10 rounds, will be banned. A pistol grip will be an evil feature. Anything with a pistol grip will be banned. And I'm sure there are other things that will make the list. So in essence, this law that's being proposed will not only ban AR-15s and AKs and things like that, but it will also potentially ban firearms that are used for deer hunting that have conventional wrist stocks. It has nothing to do with the pistol grip. It has a detachable magazine like the Remington 750 rifle. Now, she does say that 900 firearms by name will be excluded from the ban. We don't know what those rifles or handguns are, but she claims 900, which is a pretty high number. I'd like to see what that list is. It hasn't been made available yet. But you can be assured that none of the modern sporting rifles that you currently enjoy will make that list that's exempt from this new law. Now, that's where this gets really scary. Rifles, shotguns, and handguns that accept a detachable magazine will be banned or classified as assault weapons. That means your Glock, your USP, H&K USP, your Smith & Wesson M&P, your Ruger SR9, your Sig Sauer P226, and all similar handguns would be banned underneath this law because they accept a detachable magazine that is capable of holding more than 10 rounds. Of course, they'll ban 10-round or magazines over 10 rounds as well, so no new magazines will be able to be produced. That, and she's also added a stipulation that firearms with fixed magazines that are capable of holding more than 10 rounds will also be banned. Let's say that you have an SKS and you affix a 30-round magazine to the SKS and permanently attach it to the rifle and use stripper clips to load it. It would still be banned. This wasn't banned under the 1994 law, so if manufacturers decided to, let's say Glock wanted to make a Glock 17 that had a fixed magazine you could not remove, but loaded through the top with stripper clips like automatic pistols of the early 1900s did, things like the broom handle. If they tried to do that, it would already be banned under this law. There's no way to get around this law. It's simply going to ban them. Now, this law does allow for grandfathering. I know there's a lot of discussions on the internet. People were saying that Dianne Feinstein was not going to allow grandfathering and that they're going to confiscate all weapons that were banned or firearms that were banned. That doesn't appear to be the case at this juncture. Right now, she's talking about grandfathering the existing firearms, handguns, rifles, and shotguns that I've already addressed earlier in the video. She'll just classify them as NFA or National Firearms Act firearms. They will be treated as machine guns or short-barreled rifles or suppressors, how they're currently treated under U.S. law. That means all of your handguns that you have that accept detachable box magazines or detachable magazines, all rifles that accept magazines will be classified as, in essence, machine guns. And what does that mean to you as the gun owner? You think, well, great, I get grandfathered. What it means is registration of all firearms, plus all manufacture of these firearms will be banned. No new ones will be produced. All the guns out there, the millions that are out there, will be grandfathered. However, you will have to register them. And what does that mean? Well, let me tell you what that means. Registration always, eventually leads to confiscation. You will have to take the serial number of every firearm you own, fill out a lengthy form, get a picture, get fingerprints, and this is for every single firearm you own, and also get sign-off from your local law enforcement, the police chief or sheriff, on every single firearm you own. Fill out the form and mail it to the BATF. The FBI will do a background check on you, and then your name, the serial number of the firearm, or all your firearms, will be entered into a database along with your pictures and fingerprints. Why would they need that? Well, I'll tell you that here in just a few seconds. But this opens up a whole other can of worms. The NFA has 9 examiners, and I believe they've been provisioned to have up to 12. But right now under the NFA, we register machine guns in this manner, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, any other weapons, destructive devices. It currently takes about 8 months if you're not part of a trust, just as a standard individual. Most of you won't do this as a trust. As a standard individual, it takes about 8 months to get the paperwork back. And that's only a few thousand pieces of paperwork being submitted every month or so to the ATF. We're going to inundate that system with millions of pieces of paperwork, millions of background checks that the FBI will have to do, millions of pieces of paper that are going to have to be processed and entered into the database. It will take thousands of ATF agents, FBI agents to do this. Plus, it doesn't account for all the local municipalities that are going to have to deal with this influx of hundreds of thousands and millions of pieces of paper requests for approval to own these firearms in their jurisdictions. The local law enforcement has to sign off on every single firearm that you register. They have to physically put their signature on a piece of paper. Imagine big cities like Indianapolis. The police chief there, he's going to have to hire hundreds of people to handle the registration of all these firearms. Who's paying for all this? Or are we going to borrow more money from China to pay that debt? Or will Obama just run the printing presses a little bit longer and make some more currency, further devaluing our currency? I mean, heck, we're already, what, 16 trillion in the hole? What's another 16 trillion? These politicians aren't thinking. Dianne Feinstein is incapable of rational thought, as most gun grabbers are. So the NFA also has another problem. Once you've registered your firearms under the NFA, and this is how it currently works with NFA items with the exception of suppressors, what has to happen if you want to take that firearm, say your AR-15, you want to go take a rifle course. You live in Illinois and you want to go take a rifle course in Camden, Tennessee with the guys at Tactical Response. You can't just cross state lines with the NFA firearm. You have to fill out a form. It's called a 5320.20 form. You have to fill out this form and submit it to the BATF to get approval to take your firearm out of state. It can take 4 months, 6 months. I've had them take over 4 months for a form to be approved. And that was before we had millions of firearms and millions of firearms owners requesting to move NFA items across state lines. It would take months, if not years, to process all those requests for people that simply want to travel across state lines. If I wanted to go into Michigan to go visit relatives, I can't take my CCW Glock 19 because it's an assault weapon, because it has a magazine of over 10 rounds. I have to file a form with the BATF to be able to cross state lines with my concealed carry handgun. That is just absolutely ridiculous. These laws have absolutely nothing to do with public safety. This proposed assault weapons ban would do nothing. If this law were in effect at the time that Sandy Hook took place, it would have done nothing to stop that tragedy from occurring. Nothing. No more than the 1994 law prevented the tragedy at Columbine in 1999. It did absolutely nothing to stop that shooting. This law isn't about public safety at all. It's about registering your firearms. And again, registration ultimately, in every case, results in confiscation. Once they have your serial numbers, you can't say, oh, well, I lost my firearms in a boating accident. They're on the NFA. If they come knocking on your door and you don't have that NFA firearm, you better be able to explain where it's at. And if it's transferred to somebody else's possession, you're going to federal prison. It's not a laughing matter. The NFA is very serious. NFA violations carry a 10-year minimum prison sentence in federal prison, Club Fed, not the Pleasant prison. There's no getting out on early release. You do serious time for NFA violations. This has everything to do with confiscation and registration, which ultimately will lead to confiscation. That's all this is about. It's not about public safety. The gun grabbers will tell us that if we reduce the number of these firearms, which this law doesn't do, it leaves the millions of them already out there in circulation. If we reduce the number of assault weapons in public hands, that crime will go down. They account for less than 1% of the crime that's already happening. Of the mass shootings that occurred in America, only a handful of them have such firearms being used in the commission of them. Most often it's just handguns, revolvers, shotguns, deer rifles. It has nothing to do with public safety. And what's going to happen after they get this law passed and the next tragedy happens, just as it happened at Columbine? They're going to pass another law. It's incremental. This is a baby step. They want you to register them, and then when it happens again, they're going to say, well, look, the law's not working because we left all these in your hands. We're going to have to collect them now. That's what's going to happen, folks. You have to act right now to stop this legislation. This is not the time to let people like myself and other gun owners fight this fight for you. Every single one of you need to pick up the pen. Every single one of you need to follow the link that I'm going to put in the description below and go to this website, which allows you to enter your zip code, enter your name, and then type in a message saying I oppose this pending assault weapons ban. Hit submit, and it will automatically send your letter to your senators, your congressmen, and the President of the United States. You need to do this, folks. Don't sit back thinking, oh, this just won't happen. That's exactly what we thought in 1994. I remember taking place in conversations at local gun shops, and myself included. It would never happen. They can't ban these rifles. It's purely cosmetic. It makes no sense. It's a dumb law. It passed and was a law of the land for 10 years. Thankfully, that law sunset. This one will not. Dianne Feinstein learned from that last law. This one was going to be more restrictive. This one will come after your everyday concealed carry handguns and semi-automatic sporting rifles, and it will not go away in 10 years. Once Obama signs it into the law, it is the law of the land, people. We need to stop this now, and it's up to you to help me fight this. And it's up to me to help you fight this. Please check out the description. Hit see more, because I'm going to put links down below. I'll even put a sample letter in the description below that you can send to your congressman. I'm going to do everything I can to make it as simple as possible for you guys to help us fight this fight. It's important that we do. If you guys have any questions, please ask those questions on my Facebook page. I'll put a link to Facebook down below. And, please come by the Facebook page. And please, for the sake of our republic and for the sake of our freedoms, get involved in this fight. Thanks for watching, everybody.